Hi, and welcome back to the Stained Canvas. So today I have on screen a artwork that is very old footage. It's just partial footage. I've lost some of it of me working on a art competition piece of artwork and just some of the steps that I did for this artwork. So that'll be on screen, but I'm not talking anything about what is showing on screen right now. I just wanted to talk a little bit about dealing with rejection. So dealing with art rejection, dealing with being, rejected in shows kind of deal, essentially. So 2 times in my life, I have been rejected from an art show. And of course, they were devastating at first, right? Of course, you feel completely useless as an artist and like that your art is terrible and that, you're going to have no career whatsoever. That type of feelings go through you all the time. But let me tell you these 2 stories, and that'll get me to my point. And the point that I'm trying to say in this video here is okay, so the first story I have was right at the very beginning of the pandemic. Well, before that, even, I was in little tiny shows, little tiny, up in a library show kind of thing. I had my art up in restaurants. I've had my art up for sale in little tiny local stores. Had my art up in sale at a little gallery frame shop type of thing. But this was a art gallery, a little bit bigger than what I'm normally used to do, and they were putting on a show. And it was like Eternal Summer or something like that called. And this was like before the pandemic. So where I live, it gets cold and stays cold for a long time. I live in north central Alberta. And, we have big winters up here. And so the whole concept was you could see a bunch of flowers and landscapes and summertime things like that in the show. And I had a couple of things. So I applied. I had 4 different artworks. I applied for 4 different artworks. And the deadline was in October, and the show was going to start like December or something like that. And I got rejected, right? I put it in and I waited for like a month, and then I finally got the rejection letter. And I tell you, it was devastating, devastating. Because you completely feel like a non artist and you feel like your art is not good enough for anything. Because every time an artist creates something, I always believe they leave a little bit of themselves in their piece of art. So, essentially, you feel like you yourself as a human is being rejected from this show. So I took some time to deal with that because it was the very first time I was ever rejected for anything art. And I was like, okay, that's fine, And I waited for December to come along. And lo and behold, there was 0 art show from this gallery. They didn't put up a new show. They didn't do anything like that. And then it dawned on me, right, that they didn't reject me. They just canceled the show, right? It turned out that the curator ended up getting sick with COVID, and it turned into long COVID, and then it ended up her not being able to do any of the show. So the curator is usually the person who, puts up the artworks and handles all the artworky stuff. And so the show just got completely canceled. And instead of just her saying it's completely canceled, she just gave me a rejection letter. And I was like, oh, okay. So that just made me think of a different way to look at art rejection and being rejected for art things, right? And then the second time I applied at an art gallery, I got a wonderful, so I put in my things, and then I got a beautiful letter saying, oh, your artwork is fantastic, such beautiful colors, such beautiful line work, blah, 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 all that pretty stuff. I will get in touch with you in a month or later on to let you know, what has been going on with the art show and stuff like that. And essentially, what happened was she never got back to me whatsoever at all. So I was essentially ghosted by the gallery. Thankfully, I only sent in photos of like my art and stuff like that and just in the application. But yeah, I didn't get any reply. And then all of a sudden I see the art show happening and I was like, well, hell, you know, she forgot about me, essentially. So in a way, I was like rejected by being forgotten about. I don't know. But like, I have to think it really comes around to they're not rejecting me. They are just so busy or have things going on themselves. Like, it really has zero to do with my artwork, right? It had zero to do with anything of me, and a lot to do with the situation that was happening behind the scenes where we really don't get to see very much. So that just brings me to, like, half the time when you get rejected, it has nothing to do with your art. It has nothing to do with how capable of an artist you are. It's literally just, maybe it's not in the right spot even. So say you're applying to an art gallery show and it's not quite what the gallery curator wants, it will have nothing to do with your artwork at all. You could be the most beautiful artist making gorgeous art, and it just won't fit with that show type or with that style that they're trying to promote, right? So I just want you to keep that in mind. I still apply to every kind of art gallery, art galleries, art competitions. You just have to keep in mind a lot of the time it's nothing to do with you or your art and everything to do with the situation behind the scenes at the art gallery. So, yeah, I hope you keep that in mind. I will talk to you guys next time on the Stained Canvas, and I hope you enjoyed my little story of rejection and being essentially ghosted by a gallery curator, because I find it kind of hilarious now that I've had time to think about it. At the time I was like, oh, how rude. But it's all part about being an artist and learning and growing and trying to be the best artist that you could be. So I will say goodbye here, and subscribe, tell your friends about me, and I will see you guys next time on the Stained Canvas. Bye-bye for now.